Are we all ready? Okay. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming. My name is Frank Avila, F-R-A-N-K A-V-I-L-A, and I'm the attorney for Ochoa-Lopez, who's the father of Giovanni Ochoa-Lopez and the husband of Marlene Ochoa-Lopez. And we're here today because of some very sad news. I want to report to you, which I'm sure you already know, that I was informed about 5 a.m. this morning that baby Giovanni Ochoa-Lopez passed. It's very sad news. I've been up all night. I haven't had a lot of sleep, so I apologize if I look disheveled or I make any mistakes in this press conference today. I got a call around midnight or 1 a.m. in the morning last night that the baby was not doing well, that he took a turn for the worst. I was asked to call a Catholic priest and Father John from St. Mary of the Angels. I woke him up in the middle of the night around 1 a.m. and he made his way here to give the baby last rites. And from the Mother's Faith, a pastor from the Seventh-day Adventist Church also came, and the prayers were given, and at 5 a.m. the baby passed. Giovanni Lopez, the father, is in a great deal of mourning. He's very sad, and when he gets in a better state of mind, he does want to talk to you. He appreciates the media covering the murder of his wife, and he appreciates all the prayers and support that have come over this time, all the messages and words and help and prayers. He's very appreciative, as is all the family. A few items I want to bring up with you. And again, the first one is that the baby is now dead. He's passed on, and we're very sad. It's a somber occasion. I've been an attorney that's worked on many dramatic cases. I've been against political corruption, and as a criminal defense lawyer, I've defended murderers and arsonists, but this is the most difficult case, even though I've been somewhat cynical and hard-nosed. To see a baby suffering and sick is very, very difficult. And this case has been one of the most difficult cases in my entire life. The baby died from brain injuries because of the murder of his mother, which caused the loss of oxygen and asphyxiation of the mother. So the murder of his mother is a direct result of the brain injuries he received and is a direct result of his death. This baby did not just die, the baby was murdered. And we demand justice, and we demand that the state's attorney indict and charge these 3 murderers, these vicious, evil people, with a new crime of murder. The grand jury did approve at the grand jury level of aggravated battery for the crimes against the child. However, that's not in the indictment. But now that the child has died, we want to bring murder charges, and we're asking the prosecutor to bring murder charges against these 3 vicious, evil murderers, anybody else who helped them and participated or conspired with them. So at this time, I asked State's Attorney Kim Foxx and her staff to please indict these 3 vicious, evil murderers for killing this beautiful baby. We're also asking them not to grant a motion for protective custody. These murderers should not be given any special treatment. They should be in general population. They should not be getting any special treatment at all, and they should be treated no differently than any other murderers and vicious criminals, and they're probably one of the worst criminals I have ever seen. Now, the other thing I want to bring up to you is that we're asking GoFundMe to release the money for Giovanni Lopez. I have given them my IOLTA, my client trust fund account number. Giovanni Lopez is waiting on an ITIN number, but GoFundMe has frozen the funds. The reason for this is the bill for the burial and the cemetery is still outstanding. It has not been paid, and we need to pay that bill with the GoFundMe funds. And the hospital bill, although we are working out things with the hospital, we do believe the hospital will be gracious to us, is over hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we do need those GoFundMe released, and we ask GoFundMe to release them. I have given them my account number if there is any issue with the other account numbers. Now, I don't know what's happening with the other GoFundMe accounts, but one of them was for paying the funeral expenses And we know that Facebook and GoFundMe has frozen other accounts. I don't represent those people. I only represent Ochoa-Lopez, the father of the baby who just passed, and the husband of the slain wife, Marlene Ochoa-Lopez. But we ask GoFundMe to release those funds so he can pay for the hospital bills, to pay for the funeral bills and cemetery, and we hope that the hospital will work with us, and they have been working with us on the bill. That is all I have to say. I'm open to take questions. I also have my, who has been working with me, a partner on this case, the former chief of police of the Chicago Heights Park District, who has been helping me on this case and doing investigations for me and advising me on this case, Roberto Maldonado, who is going to say what I said in Spanish. But first, I want to ask if there's any questions from the media.
Can you talk more about the circumstances surrounding the baby's death overnight? Was it natural causes, or was it pulled off life support?
It was natural causes. The baby was dying. The baby was suffering, and the baby naturally died.
So you're looking for homicide charges against Peter Bobak too? And
all of them, yes.
Even though he was not charged with homicide in the first indictment?
Peter Bobak, the grand jury is the one to decide. So we believe it should be indicted on the charges against all of them. And we believe that Peter Bobak is accountable for the murder, that knew about it. He was cleaning off the blood. There's witnesses that said he had blood on his shoes, and he would know if his live-in girlfriend was pregnant or not pregnant. So the idea that he didn't know anything was going on is not true, and we believe there may be others that knew things about it, including the mother of Clarissa Figueroa.
Where are we as far as any potential lawsuits against
That's not what we're here to talk today. There will be lawsuits, and we are amicably working with some of the people that we're going to be suing, or some of the groups we're suing. So we are already in negotiations on some of those issues. But today we're talking about the death of Ochoa-Lopez, the beautiful baby that has died. And I believe that he's in heaven with his mother, and his suffering has ended.
Can you talk to just more about the emotional state? Have you spoken with the
Yes,
father?
I spoke with the father last night, or in the middle of the night. I also spoke to him this morning, just making sure I told him everything I was going to say at this press conference, and to make sure that he wants to tell all the media and all the people watching, all the people who have been supportive on social media, and the people who have been sending prayers and doing various things. We've had a lot of support, especially in the Spanish-speaking community, especially in the Mexican-American and Mexican immigrant community, and we're very happy to receive all that. This case is a huge case, especially in the Spanish-speaking community, especially in the Mexican-American and Mexican immigrant community, but really for everyone. And the prayers and the support that we've received is outstanding. The father's very, very happy. He's mortified. He's in great sorrow. It's horrible, and his emotional state is horrible right now. But he believes that the baby is no longer suffering. The baby was murdered. I should say that. The baby was murdered, and we demand justice. The baby did die of natural causes, of course, but natural causes that were inflicted to him, the brain injury from the asphyxiation that was caused by the murder of his mother, and that was a murder, and murder charges should be brought. And we demand justice, and we demand justice not only for this baby and Marlene Ochoa, but for the community demands justice. And we are still seeking a meeting with the superintendent of police of the city of Chicago, because we do not feel they respected this family, nor the Spanish-speaking community, nor the Mexican-American or Mexican immigrant communities, and we need some answers on that. But today we're talking about the death and our sorrow and our gratitude for the prayers. We ask GoFundMe to release the funds, and we want the state's attorney to bring murder charges against these three murderers.
Have you been in touch with the state's attorney, police, medical examiner in terms of the timeline of when we could see charges?
Well, I have not been in contact with them after the baby died at 5 a.m. I was in court this morning on another matter, but at the last court date where many of you were there, I did talk to the state. I was there in the room with the victims' advocates, and so we do have a base of what's going on. We want to make sure that they're very aggressive and that they're doing a good job. We think they are. We don't have any problem with that, but we just want to stay vigilant, and we want to make sure that justice is done. I also want to thank Julie Contreras, who is the advocate on this from LULAC, and the Methodist Church. He's been amazing. I want to thank Father John from St. Mary of the Angels. I woke up about 1 a.m. in the middle of the night, and he graciously went and gave last rites to the baby. Father John from St. Mary of the Angels. I want to also thank Attorney John Lechuga, who's in back of me, Roberto Maldonado to my right, who was former law enforcement, who's been helping on this case, and a community activist, Raul Montes, who's also been helping with the community and the media. Any other questions?
So you say Giovanni's not speaking with any media today?
Not today. I'm sure he will in the future, and he appreciates the media and his supporters, but today is not a good day for him. It's a day of sorrow. It's a day of suffering, but he is very happy in a sense that the baby's suffering is ended, and that his baby Giovanni is in heaven with his mother Marlene, and the suffering has ended. There is no more pain.
So was the family at the hospital when the baby's condition turned overnight?
No, we got a call from the hospital late last night, and then the family went there, and then the baby passed around 5 a.m.
So they were there.
The family was present when the...
Yes, baby. Yes. I know the mother-in-law was present. Giovanni was present. Julie Contreras was present. I believe some of the other family members of Giovanni were present. There was a pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, which is the faith of Marlene, and there was a Catholic priest there for last rites and comforting the family as a pastor, which is the faith of Giovanni.
And are there any pictures that you all will release, not of the baby, but maybe of the family?
Not at this time, and I don't know if that'd be appropriate.
Okay.
I know that it's not appropriate at this time to do that. I apologize, but the hospital has taken some photos, and if Giovanni allows me to release them at a future date, I will release them for the media and for the public. And again, we appreciate their supports and prayers. Any other questions? At this time, I'm going to have Roberto Maldonado, who was a former chief of police in the Chicago Heights Park District, who has been assisting me on this case and advising me as a partner to me, and has been crucial to give a statement in Spanish of what I said and anything else that he wanted to add.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Roberto Maldonado, yo soy el ex jefe de policía. Hoy vengo a decirles lo que pasó con el baby Giovanni. Esta mañana aproximadamente a la 1 a.m. yo fui informado que el bebé Giovanni estaba teniendo complicaciones de salud, y aproximadamente a las 5 a.m. de la mañana, esta mañana, el bebé sufrió y murió de sus complicaciones médicas. La familia está pidiendo que la fiscal Kim Fox, la abogada del condado de Cook, ponga cargos a los 3 asesinos y los ponga enfrente de un gran jurado y les ponga adicionales cargos de homicidio y muerte. El papá Giovanni está teniendo y sufriendo problemas financieros. Los biles y los gastos que está teniendo del hospital, del funeral de su esposa y ahora de su hijo han excedido extremadamente, y le están pidiendo por favor a la compañía GoFundMe que dejes usar el dinero que la gente le dio para pagar el funeral. Es todo lo que tengo ahorita. Si tienen unas preguntas en español, si puedo, se las puedo answer for you.
I'll do it aside.
Okay. Gracias. Thank you.
Is there any other questions anybody has?
You said you'd been in touch with GoFundMe, or you're trying to be in touch
Yes,
with them. Have you been in touch with them?
I have.
And what have they told you?
The best attorney for that would be
When it talks about GoFundMe. Go in front of the mic.
Excuse me.
Because Giovanni does not have an IT number, we're having some difficulty releasing the funds. We're working either on creating an IOTA account in the name of Giovanni so that the funds can be released to Frank Avila's law firm, and then he would immediately release them to Giovanni. Otherwise, we're trying to work with GoFundMe to be able to release these funds as soon as possible. Because they only, per policy, reply by email, it's taken a lot longer than we wanted to.
But they've been, I guess, willing to work with you. They haven't not responded or anything.
No, they've been responding. Okay. It's just been very
Slow.
Slow.
And very bureaucratic, and they won't call on the phone. They only interact by email. And we're thankful for GoFundMe to interact, but the cemetery especially, as well as the funeral home, but maybe less so the funeral home, is breathing down our necks a little bit. I mean, I don't want to use that term. They want their bill, which is understandable, and Giovanni wants to pay them, and he does have the money in the GoFundMe. He has not worked since the murder of his wife. He's been in and out of the hospital. It's been very difficult for him, and his ITIN number is not set up yet, and the baby does not have a social security number, which we will obtain eventually. Because remember, the original birth certificate has a different name and the names of the parents of the murderers, including Peter Bobak as the father, as we understand. So we need to clarify that issue of the birth certificate.
And I'm guessing at this point no arrangements have been made for baby Giovanni.
Not yet, but we're going to meet with the funeral home and the cemetery tomorrow. But our concern is, or his concern is, that if we don't pay the bill for Marlene, they won't let us bury the baby or have the. Now we're gonna. By the way, one thing I do want to mention. The funeral for Marlene was a very large funeral. The community was involved, especially the Spanish-speaking community, the Mexican-American community, and the Mexican immigrant community, and all people of Hispanic origins, and the public and supporters and the media. The funeral and the burial for the baby is going to be much more intimate. We are not going to allow the media, and we are not going to allow the general public. It's going to be much smaller in scope. It's going to be private, and it's going to be intimate. And we do ask the general public, although we appreciate your support and prayers, and we appreciate the media covering this important story, that we do ask that this funeral for the baby is going to be small, intimate, and private. And if you could all respect our wishes, both the general public and the media. So we are going to bury, if we can, the funeral of the casket of the child on top of his mother. We want to bury them together because we believe they're both in heaven together now, and both of their sufferings have ended. There is no more pain, and they are in heaven with God. And that is the faith of Giovanni and the faith of the mother's family. So what I can say is that we are concerned that the funeral home and the cemetery will be concerned about another funeral and burial when we have not paid for the first one, and now that's an additional expense, although we do imagine that the funeral and the burial for the child will be less expensive. So we hope that GoFundMe does release it. We're not accusing GoFundMe of anything. They have been working with it, they've been responding in emails, and we realize there is some complications with the social security numbers, but we do need them to release that money.
Would it be possible to let us all know which GoFundMe you're referring to? So
well, there's only one GoFundMe that I have any authority to speak of. There is about 5 GoFundMes or 5 /GoFundMe/Facebook fundraiser pages. I don't know what's going on with the rest of them. I know that one of the other family members on the mother's side has a GoFundMe that was specifically mentioned for the funeral expenses. I can't find that anymore. Maybe it was a Facebook fundraiser. And we have not received any funds from anybody, and nobody, including the in-laws, have paid for the funeral or the cemetery expenses. That's not any accusation or concern. That's just a statement of fact. But my understanding, at one point, all of the GoFundMes and Facebook fundraisers were frozen. I have no authority, and I can't speak to the other ones. What I can speak, my client, Giovanni Lopez's GoFundMe, which is frozen, and the funds have not been released, and we do need those funds.
Those funds are for the funeral and for the child.
Pretty good. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. I'm sorry it was such a sad occasion.
I think it's a link.